What is going on, stallions and stallionettes? Hope you're having a great day. Welcome to the Gamer Heaven. I'm your host, AK40 Kevin. I recently got back into racing sims, and one of the things that I'm very serious about is multi-platform compatibility. I was searching high and low, to and fro, doing a twist and searching Diagon Alley to find myself a racing wheel. I was thinking I was going to go with something from Logitech because that's what I've known since the PS3 era. However, if I can get one wheel that works on Android, iPhone, Xbox One, Xbox Series, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 4 games on a PS5 maybe, Nintendo Switch, and PC, and is budget friendly yet doesn't feel like it's going to disintegrate in my hands because it's made out of paper mache quality, unfortunately nothing like that exists. Or does it? In that box that magically teleported to that gaming chair over there is the first ever racing wheel that is compatible with cell phones as well as consoles and PCs. But unfortunately, cross-platform support is not enough if the build quality feels like anus, and when you're whipping the wheel, you have to dislocate your wrist like the guy from Scary Movie 2. Let's test this wheel from a company whose name sounds like a pharmaceutical company and see if it's any good. What are you doing all the way over there? You can't see an unboxing from over there. Come on over. Alrighty, stallions, over here at the Stormtrooper desktop to unbox the Wheel-Serafim R1 Plus over here. So full disclosure, this was sent out to me from Wheel-Serafim. I was indeed shopping for a racing wheel as I am getting back into racing sims. I'm going to be streaming them live on my PC, as well as just casually playing in my living room on my Xbox Series S and PS5. And I didn't want to buy three $300 wheels, one for PS5, one for Xbox Series, one for the PC, and I didn't even think about using one for mobile gaming. However, I do have 3 racing games installed on my phone that I do play pretty frequently, one of them being, what the heck is this, a UMD disc? That reminds me of the original PSP. You guys remember those? Instruction manual, I don't know how to read, so we're going to toss that aside, but English is the primary language. Nice font, nice pictures, no color, but they are very descriptive, and tell you how to pair to the 8 supported platforms. Now, if you get the R1 model, the Yamaha R1 for my motorcycle fans out there, that is only compatible with 3 models. The R1 Plus, which is what we have right here, as they were gracious enough to send out their flagship model, that is compatible with 8 platforms. That is a huge selling factor that you can literally buy one wheel and have it work across basically all your devices. So packaging is relatively basic. It does have a nice little grab handle, but just some basic cardboard. I guess you wouldn't expect any laser cut foam or anything in a $100 wheel. Actually, technically $90 because there is currently a $10 coupon attached to the Amazon landing page. Now, I will say right off the bat, Wheel-Serafim sounds like some kind of pharmaceutical company or some kind of hip flexor medication. Like, did your grandma take her Wheel-Serafim this morning? I'd recommend to the company to do a little bit of rebranding, a little bit of remarketing, something a little bit more gamer-centric than Wheel-Serafim. Those tactile paddles, though. Oh, we're not getting into that right now, but my God, I just accidentally grabbed it and hit the paddle. Clicky, clicky, me likey. My God. Okay, USB-A plug. And this is not modular, so this is actually permanently affixed here, so make sure you don't rip this or let your dog eat it or anything because, well, you gotta buy yourself a new wheel at that point. Granted, this does have a 1-year warranty. That is something important to note. This does have a 1-year warranty. The only caveat to that would be that this hasn't been taken apart and modified. You didn't spray paint it, lime green or anything like that. Just leave it as is. If anything breaks, you do have a 1-year manufacturer warranty. All right, this is the cell phone mount, so if you are going to be using this for mobile phone use, you will clip your phone in there like that and obviously use that as the screen, which is actually pretty cool in my opinion. And I will give you guys a demonstration of how to connect to all of the supported devices. So as for the overall ergonomics, fit and finish, and feel of the Wheel-Serafim R1 Plus over here. So first of all, there's a very nice grippy perforated rubber material with cutouts for your 9 and 3 position, little notches here for the 10 and 2 position. The rubberized material does feel really good where your hands are actually going to be making contact with the wheel. However, the plastic on top and bottom here is rather cheap. Granted, you're not going to be driving like this unless you're cruising in Grand Theft Auto or something, which isn't even supported by this wheel anyway, and you're not going to be holding it by the flat bottom anyway, so where you're going to be actually holding this wheel for racing, it does actually feel pretty good. The wheel is also a good size. I would recommend that it was about 2 inches larger in diameter. I do understand that most track-built race cars, as well as even sports cars, street-legal sport cars, do generally have small diameter wheels, so you can quickly rotate them. However, this is a little bit too small, in my opinion, at least for standard North American hands, so I would say maybe about 2 inches larger in diameter for their next version or iteration of this controller. There is a very, very nice resistance to the wheel, and it does snap back to the 12 o'clock position. There is only 90 degrees to the right and left for a total of 180 degrees of manipulation of this wheel, and for a lot of racing simulation purists, that will be a deal breaker. For me personally, I don't really think it's that big of a deal because I have owned Logitech wheels and Thrustmaster wheels. The majority of them do allow 180 degrees of rotation to where you can completely go upside down each way. However, generally when you're at speed while you're racing, you're generally only doing small finite movements like this anyway, so that's not a huge deal. And since this is for mobile, you have to think about that if you have your phone right here and you're using that as a screen, if you go upside down, you're not going to be able to see what the hell's going on, as where if you have it cocked about 90 degrees like this, granted you probably won't even go to full 90 degree lock like that, you can still see what's going on screen. So I think that's why they went with that design method. Serafim, correct me if I'm incorrect there, but I'm assuming that's why you made the decision to stop full lock at 90 rather than 180. For me, it is not a huge deal, and overall what is a big deal would be the fit and finish of the wheel and the resistance, and I do think it feels pretty good, especially with that rubberized material. You do have 4 face buttons here. They are relatively close together, which is actually good because basically you can keep your thumb right here and hit all the buttons that you need to. Same thing with this D-pad right here, which does feel pretty tactile and clicky. You do have a home, share, and options button, so share is cool if you want to quickly share a clip of a badass drift that you just did or a sweet overtake on the inside. You do also have 2 buttons right here where your thumbs would be at the 10 and 2 mark, and then you do also have 2 buttons on the back as well. Now the paddles do have a nice satisfying tactile click. I do really like the paddles. They are wheel mounted, not column mounted, so that is fantastic. They're going to stay right there with you when you're in the corner. The shifter also does have a very good tactile click. However, I will say this is a little bit too far inward to where you kind of have to reach around the wheel to grab it. Now, granted, it's not a terrible design. I have tried other wheels that have, by far, worse ergonomics when it comes to the shifter. However, this would be better if this was on a little bit of an extended arm that you could slide out or was permanently extended, and the shifter was right about here, or maybe a little bit closer right about here. I think this would be ideal, right about here. This isn't terrible. You can quickly bang out gears like that, or you can just use the paddles. Me personally, if I am in a racing simulator, if the car is a manual transmission, I'm probably going to be using the stick here. And if it is a dual clutch or PDK or some kind of a automatic transmission with paddles, then I would be using the paddles to keep it authentic to that vehicle. Also on the wheel, there is 2 mounting methods. You do have suction cups, which work okay if you're on a glass table or some kind of a slick, smooth surface, but if you have a wooden desk, granted you can still, moisten up the pads and stick it to your desk. However, it's going to be sliding around on you. You definitely want to use this optional mount here, which clamps onto your desk. And one little nitpicky thing I will say is that the clamp on the bottom is just hard plastic pressing up your desk. It's not going to cost them hardly anything in the build process to add a little strip of rubber on there, and that'll protect the bottom of your desk from scrapes and whatnot, and just make it feel a little bit more plush and premium. All in all, though, it is quite sturdily mounted to my desk. I can really be whipping around here, and I don't feel like the wheel is going to snap or anything like that. And I'm a pretty strong dude. I've been hitting the gym here. Just kidding. But overall, it does feel really good, and I have to say it is very quick to snap back to that neutral. It is very quick to snap back to that neutral position, so if you're doing some drifting or something, I think this will work out quite nicely for you. Now I'm going to go ahead and slide this to the left here, and we're going to focus on the pedals because this is only half of the equation here. So the pedals will use this Ethernet or phone style port to plug into the back of the actual steering wheel module. There is a good amount of modulation on both the throttle and the brake pedal, and I do have to say there is also a very, very good resistance. It's not too light to press, but you don't have to have calf muscles the size of bowling balls to push these suckers down. What I will say, this is very scratchy, slick plastic, so I'd recommend them putting a couple of strips of rubber on here, or maybe making them look a tad bit more premium with a little bit of faux or fake aluminum and some rubberized panels on here. Also, it would be nice if this kick panel was just a little bit longer because a lot of people are going to rest their heels on here, so it'd be nice if this was extended just a skosh. Other than that, I think these pedals are actually pretty darn good, especially for a $90 steering wheel controller. So I'm going to quickly walk you guys through the steps of using this with all the different console variations, and then I'm going to show you how to pair it with PC and install the drivers. So for all these, you are going to need to install, or plug in, I should say, the pedals for these bad boys because, well, you ain't going to be going anywhere if you're not hitting the throttle. To use this on a Nintendo Switch, you plug this into your dock, and it will register it or recognize it as a Nintendo Switch Pro controller, and you're good to go. For a PlayStation 3, which not too many people are playing on a PS3 nowadays, as that is 2 Sony generations ago, but you will plug this into the front of the PS3, and it will recognize it as a DualShock controller. Now for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Xbox Series, you are going to use this included micro USB cable. It did not come with a USB-C cable, and that is what the Xbox Series S and X use. So if you are using the default out-of-the-box controller with that, you will need to source or use your own USB-C cable that came with the console. You're going to plug the controller into this USB port over here, and that is basically going to take all the inputs of that controller and send it into the steering wheel here. That might sound a little bit janky, but that's actually pretty common with a lot of these third-party peripherals. In fact, the keyboard and mouse console adapter that I just tested here recently, where I was playing Uncharted and Last of Us on my PlayStation 5 with keyboard and mouse, that also required me to have a PS4 controller plugged in to that device as well. So it's actually a pretty common method for getting these devices recognized. And then you will simply plug the USB cable into the front of your PS4, Xbox One, or Series. So there's two ways to use this sucker on a PC. You can plug in an Xbox One or Series controller, as that is a Microsoft device and will be recognized by your PC as a Xbox gamepad when you launch something like Steam. You're going to plug this into the front of your tower, and you are going to have an Xbox controller plugged in. However, I don't like that method. I would recommend not using it. We're going to actually go ahead and install the driver packs. Stallions, over here at the PC, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and walk you through the process of installing the drivers, which are rather tiny at only about 3 megabytes. You are going to go to this URL right here. This will be linked in the description below, labeled as PC drivers. You're going to click on download here, and you're going to get this file right here. You are going to go to the top right. If I hide my face for a hot tick, you can see what I'm talking about. And you are going to click the download button. That is going to give you a zip file. You're going to right click that and extract all. I would just recommend doing it to your desktop. Then you're going to double click on the extracted folder, and you'll have this single file in here, which is your setup or installer. Again, it is a very small file at only 3 megabytes, so it is only going to take a matter of seconds to install. Now, the other option would be to use that tiny little UMD miniature disk. It's letting me know here I already have the drivers installed, and I have the option to uninstall, which I do not want to do because I'll be using this wheel for many, many months to come. But you do have the option to use that miniature disk. However, the majority of modern PCs don't even have disk drives. Your PC probably doesn't, most likely. I'm just guessing. So you're going to want to do the method that I just showed you by installing the drivers online. And then the final step is to plug in the steering wheel controller to the front or back of your tower and hold down the home button for 3 seconds, and you will see the LED light on the front of the steering wheel flash 6 times and then go solid. And that lets you know that you are now using the onboard drivers rather than looking for an Xbox controller, which isn't plugged in because we're not using that method. We're using the drivers. So again, that will be my preferred method of using this on PC. We'll be not using the suction cups, but using the actual desk clamp mount to get a nice secure feel, having my pedals beneath me, of course. And I did forget to mention, but if you are on a hardwood floor, a slick surface such as tile or vinyl, it does have nice rubberized feet, so that is rather nice. Granted, I'm carpeted here. So we got the Wheel-Serafim Doctor's Office Yamaha R1 Plus hooked up here. This is Steam Big Picture. This is how you are going to run this bad boy if you're using the Steam launcher, as it is going to be registered as a game controller. You will have to map everything. I will show you guys in a separate portion of this video how to do that. You will need to map all of these buttons, as it is considered a generic controller and will not automatically register what buttons are what. But now, as you can see, I have the D-pad browsing around. We'll go ahead and select my game library here, and let's go ahead and select ourselves a racing game. I know this microphone won't pick up how awesome this game sounds through these speakers here, through these Logitechs, but my God. Crackles and pops, I like it. The shifter does feel phenomenal. However, in this game, Dirt Rally, you have a button for clutch, but you do not have a shift up and down button that I can remap, so I cannot test shifting with this. However, I will say it is in a very good spot where you can quickly bang out gears, and it has a nice tactile click. Same thing with the left and right paddles as well. All right, boys, so I'm pulled off to the side of the track here, and some things I want to mention that I noticed right off the bat. First of all, it does have a pretty solid vibration force motor on board. So right now I'm burning a little bit of rubber and whatnot. Tires haven't been warmed up, and the track is a little bit cold today, so obviously I'm not getting much traction here. And you're feeling a lot of vibration, a lot of feedback through the wheel. Now you do not have feedback motors that will actually jerk the wheel to simulate going over different surfaces like you would with some of the $300 to $500 Logitech wheels. However, for a $100 wheel, the vibration actually does feel. You can quiet down just a bit, buddy. The vibration actually does feel very good. So they are completely modular. As you can see right now, I'm just barely holding the gas. I'm going about 10 miles an hour or so down the course. And then same thing with the brake. If I just feather the brake, I'm slowing down gradually. And then obviously it is a fully modular throttle and brake pedal, as you would hope and expect. Yeah, that vibration does feel really good. As I'm running over the gravel and the dirt, you actually do feel different surfaces or textures of the road. I do like that quite a bit. And the fact that this only rotates 90 degrees to the right and left really isn't a huge deal, because you have a lot of controllability to where when you're going at a good rate of speed, you actually you're not going to be turning the wheel 180 degrees or anything like that. Maybe if you're doing some drift racing or something like that, IRL. Yeah, I mean, all in all, this feels fantastic, especially for a $100 wheel. I've tested wheels in the $250 to $300 range that didn't feel quite as tight and responsive as this wheel here. Can look around my cockpit with these buttons here. So getting the Wheel-Serafim R1 Plus set up for mobile use, whether you're on Android or iPhone, is very simple. You do have this adapter here. It does have two buttons that you have to pinch on the side in order to clamp it on and off of the wheel, so it is on there very securely. You do also have foam on the back and then rubber on the top and bottom, so it does clamp your phone in there incredibly secure. It's not going anywhere. And I do also like the fact that it is dead center right in your field of view or your vision, which is really cool. The next thing you're going to do is take the Ethernet style plug on the bottom of the pedals and plug it into this adapter block. This is a Bluetooth adapter block that is labeled with both Android and iOS. So if you're on Android, obviously you'll select that. And if you're on iPhone, you will select iOS. You do have a power button right here that will not do anything out of the box, because you do have to add 3 AAA batteries, which are not included in the packaging, just something to note. And then you are going to hold this power button down for 3 seconds and it will begin to flash rapidly blue. You will pair with your phone, and then once you are successfully paired with your phone, it will be a slow blue flash, letting you know that you are good to go. Then you are going to install an application. It is called Wheel-Serafim Play. And once you launch that, the very first thing you want to do is go to the top right, and you want to go to Bluetooth FW Update. And for me, it was up to date right out of the box. It said no need to update, but for you, it might be a little bit different. You want to make sure that you are up to date with the latest firmware. Now, it shows you the supported games here, which are quite a few. In fact, the 2 games that I play the most hands down on mobile are racing games, and they are Asphalt 9 and Real Racing 3. They are an absolute joy to play. I love them. The whole Asphalt series is great arcade fun, and Real Racing is kind of a racing sim. Think of it like Forza, not Forza Horizon, but Forza Motorsports, the track racing, or Gran Turismo, but for phone. It is a track racing simulator. It is fantastic. So I play a lot of that. And the coolest thing about that game is I play it on my NVIDIA Shield on my TV with a controller in my living room. And then I also play it mobile for my phone when I'm on the go, and my progress passes back and forth, which is really cool. So it does tell you when you click on each game that you're going to be playing, for example, Real Racing, what you need to do, the steps in order to get it running, which in this case is to launch the game, go into settings, and then go select the control method of Tilt B. And that will allow you to use the pedals as a Bluetooth controller, and then the wheel is literally only being used to hold your phone, and you still are using the tilt of your phone, but you know, the wheel is holding your phone, and it actually does feel really, really good. Watching the hands of the character on screen turning with your wheel, everything just felt really fluid and smooth for mobile gaming, and I didn't really expect that I would find a wheel that supported mobile as well. It's something that I hadn't even really considered, as I was only looking for something to play on PC, and then, of course, the Series S and the PlayStation 5 as well. So, first of all, naming convention aside, because I do think they need to do a little bit of rebranding to make a more gamer-centric name, anything besides Wheel-Serafim. The pros would absolutely be price to performance. I have tested a lot of wheels in the $250 to $300 range that, in my opinion, didn't feel quite as tight and didn't snap back to the 12 o'clock position quite as quickly as this wheel. I do think the rubberized coating at the 10 and 2 and the 9 and 3 grip felt incredibly good. The pedals, I really didn't have any complaints. I mentioned a couple of nitpicky things, but honestly, those are just that, nitpicky. They feel virtually the same as some of the Logitech wheels that I have tested and whatnot, so they feel fine. And in my opinion, the biggest pro or benefit of this wheel is the fact that it is cross-compatible with 8 platforms. Granted, will I use it for mobile use? Probably not a whole heck of a lot. I will be using it quite extensively on PC, Xbox Series S, and PS5, and that's great considering generally wheels are only compatible with Xbox and PC, or PlayStation and PC. This also works on the Switch as well. Granted, is there a lot of Switch racing games? Not really, but you got Mario Kart and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. And the fact that I can also play Real Racing and Asphalt 9 mobile games with this, which I probably will do from time to time, is pretty cool. So at a retail price of $90 US, that includes a $10 off coupon, which is active right now on the Amazon landing page, I would have to recommend the steering wheel controller. It feels very good. Granted, it's not the most premium steering wheel controller you're going to put your hands on. It's $90, and for that price point, it feels absolutely phenomenal. So in conclusion, I would have to label this bad boy here, the Wheel-Serafim R1 Plus, it's quite a mouthful, that's what she said, as holding two titles in my book: the best budget steering wheel on the market and the most versatile, i.e. it supports the most platforms. If you guys enjoy this honest product review and it helped you to make a decision as to whether the Wheel-Serafim R1 Plus is right for your needs or not, liking the video will help it to get seen by more people, so this information will reach and assist them as well, which in turn helps me grow this channel, which I do greatly appreciate. Subscribe for more content just like this, and I will see you in the next video, which will be tomorrow because I upload daily as well as going live right here on this channel Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. Have a good day.